Hey everyone, welcome to November's Q&A Live. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Rachel Leah Gerson, and I am the metaphysical practitioner and creatrix at Doorway to Self, which is a place where I integrate counseling techniques with psychic tools to help you understand mental health and mental illness and yourself as a human being better than before. So, thanks for being here. Hey, Jessica. Hi, friends. Hey, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it. So the way that this works, if you've never been here before, is that you can ask questions at any point in time. Hey, Elise. And I will answer them live as soon as I'm done answering the question beforehand. So all you have to do is, if you're on Facebook, you type in the box that says write a comment. If you're on Instagram, you type in the box that says comment, ... and you can just enter your question there. And I will get to it in the order that it is received. I do apologize for any glitches on Facebook. Sometimes Facebook does not show me questions right away. So if I do not get to your question, I'll be sure to do that when we do the next live Q&A. So I'll put a check on it and I'll save it for next time. Hey, Jenny. Hey, Rachel. Thanks for coming on. That said, you can also feel free to send me questions anonymously. Unfortunately, the window for that tonight has closed. I take anonymous questions via email, DM, and PM up until about an hour before the event. So if that's something you're interested in and you don't want to ask live, you're welcome to ask something anonymously that way, and I will get to it next time. Hi, Jessica. Thanks for being here. If you see me looking back and forth, it's because I'm looking at Facebook this way and Instagram this way. So I appreciate your patience with such technology. So with all of that said, rules are now laid out on the board, and I will begin by answering one of the anonymous questions that I have received since the last live Q&A. And that first question is, what is twisting the bone energy work? So this is a method that I use, and basically I stumbled upon it. Literally, I broke my toe and was led to learning this method completely by chance. I went to a class about herbal medicinal roots, and the lady teaching it, I asked her if there were any special roots that could help to heal my toe. It had been broken for a good probably 3 months, and it hadn't healed at all. Like, I wasn't making any progress towards any healing. And she asked me to remove my sock and remove my shoe, then remove my sock. And she came up, and if you pretend this finger is my toe, she started kind of going like this. And I was like, well, what are you doing? And I could feel it. I could feel genuine shifts happening. And I was like, what is going on? And she said, I am locking into the energy in your toe, and I'm feeling the pain of it. And I'm asking your toe how it was traumatized and what way I can help to shift it back so that it can get out of a trauma mode. And she said, you can do this yourself, and as can you. You just lock into your own energy field. If you're having pains or something's feeling out of place, you connect into your own energy field. Hey, Kelly, thanks for coming on. You ask your body what's going on, where is it traumatized, how did the trauma happen, and you can start to slowly unwind that energetic pain. So I kind of akin it to having a hose that's kinked, and then the water is stuck, and then when you unkink the hose, all the water comes out. So it's similar to that, right? We're just basically unkinking our energy system, and this can work on a physical level. It can also work on an energy level as well. So if you get into kind of those higher planes of yourself, and you work from that level of like, where is my energy out of whack? If you're someone who works with the chakras, you can kind of like unwind chakras. If you're someone who works with enmeshed energy, meaning that you're carrying the energy of someone else or a place or a thing or an animal or whatever it is, you can work to unwind that, etc. So you can use it for lots of things. Just make sure you listen precisely to what your body needs, and that's how you'll be able to heal it. The amazing part of this story is that, like I said, for 3 months my toe was not healing, and literally 3 days of doing this, 3 days. She said, do it in the morning, do it at night, and do it throughout the day if you need to. And literally 3 days later, I could start feeling the shifts and feeling it moving. I'm curious as to how many of you are sitting at home right now, like going to different parts of your body and like, that's cool. Oh my God, I needed to hear this. You're so, yay, good. I'm so happy that helped you out. Hey, Brendan, thanks for coming on. Hey, Jesse, that's so cool. Yeah, it is. It's pretty amazing. And if you ever try it on yourself, it's really, really wonderful. So I know a lot of you just came on. I'll give you a recap of how this works. Essentially, you can put a comment in the comment box, a question in the comment box at any point in time during this live. We'll be going till 9. So whether you're on Facebook or Instagram, I will answer your questions as soon as I'm done answering the one prior. And I am currently answering the anonymous questions that came into my email and my Instagram inbox beforehand. Terry says, hi, Rachel, what a cool technique. Can't wait to try it. Yeah. Oh, cool. I'm excited for you to try it as well. Oh, that's really exciting. Okay, cool. I'm going to move to one from Instagram now. Let's see what's going on. Okay. I would like to book a session with you, but I don't see your services on your website. How do I book a session with you? So this is actually pretty well placed, because this is right after I've just gone on to explain one of the energy work methods I use. So for those of you who missed the announcement, I am no longer taking on clients, aside from one. I will be taking on one person. One person starting in January for my apprenticeship program. So this is for someone specifically who is looking to get into this field. And when I say this field, I mean any healing field, whether that be as a registered nurse or as an energy work practitioner or as a chiropractor. I don't really care. The point is that you're going into a healing field and you're wanting to work on yourself and heal yourself in order to help others heal. So that is who this program is for. You can find details about that on my website. Applications are still open, though there is someone very highly considering the spot right now. So this is something you're interested in. It might be too late. I don't know. But anyways, the point is, I want to answer this question. I'm not currently taking on any one-on-one clients right now aside from that apprenticeship position. The only reason for that is because it would be completely unethical for me to take on more than one person at the moment. I am entrenched, as many of you know, in my grad school for counseling program at the moment, and my internship is fantastic, and I love working in addiction and working with Sanford House. But that said, it does take up a lot of my time and a lot of my energy. And so I don't feel, after doing so much searching around this, I don't feel like it would be very ethical for me to be working with more than one client on top of that process. So I want to thank you all for your grace in that, and perhaps early. But if you are, let's see. Okay, I'll answer you in a second. I see you. So yes, if you are interested in the Journey Apprenticeship Program, just go to doorwaytoself.com and click on the button. I can't remember if it says services or offerings. It's honestly been a while since I've been to my own website, but something like that, some tab like that, and you'll find the info there. So that is what is up. And Love for Theater says, what is it called again? The first question about the toe. It's called twisting the bone. And it's interesting because this lady who taught me is the only person who has called it that. And so I've had clients in the past Google it, which is probably what this person who anonymously asked the question did, is they probably Googled it and were like, okay, this woman's a crack of shit right now because I'm not finding this anywhere. And I've tried Googling it as well after a few of my clients were like, that doesn't exist. What is this? But I don't know. I was taught by this lady and it works. So yeah, you're welcome. Okay. Kelly, you have a question. I see you. I recently spoke to a psychic and her answer to a question was, oh, this is not going to happen. Can psychics really say this? Isn't energy always changing and shifting? Her answer contradicted what I felt intuitively. Oh, I love this question already. I feel these kind of answers foster the psychic dependency that you warn of. I just feel it's better to say something like, I'm feeling a block here, or I feel like there is some work to be done. But she got sort of defensive when I said I wasn't feeling a no. What are your thoughts on this? Yes! Okay. I thank you so much for for this example, and for being an example, right? Oh my gosh, Kelly, I'm so excited for you. Okay, it sounds very similar to MFR. Oh yeah, sorry. I thought she was commenting on you, and that just got real crossed. Yes, sorry, sidetrack. Yes, it is very similar to myofascial release and unwinding, but on an energetic level. So you're not working with the actual physicality. And I think, Rachel, when I first started working with you, where you were working on me doing MFR, I think I told you that actually, that it was kind of like the physical version of what I do energetically. If you haven't been, by the way, to see Rachel Davies at Essence, as an Essence Physical Therapy, go check her out because she's awesome. Anywho, and it's funny, I actually referred someone to you like literally today, so it's kind of funny. Anyways, okay, getting back to Kelly's question, I'm sorry about that. Okay, so I think you are approaching this exactly right. Your intuition is way, 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 way more accurate than what any psychic is going to tell you. And I put psychic in quotes because, again, if you're human, you're psychic. So, and that intuition would be psychic because you're tapping into the energy of it. I love that you are following that. I am so sorry that this human being is obviously ignorant enough to try and pretend like they know more than you. And especially like the way that you typed out what this person said to you, I'm just envisioning like, oh no, this is not going to happen. Like some super dramatic, like very hooky thing to do, right? Like just that, like kind of what you were referring to, that kind of baiting of you know, how do I get this person interested? How do I make this very mysterious and big, and like they need to ask more questions about it? And so I like how you're approaching this in a very grounded, and the word cynical isn't right, but logical way, if that makes any sense. So yeah, this person's just clearly very unethical. And I would honestly, if you have their information, I might send them like I as in you, if you feel comfortable, might try sending them a message or an email or something just about your experience, and maybe you can drop the link to my energy ethics article in there for them to read and get completely triggered by. Discernment. Yes, that is the word. Thank you, Elise. Yes, discernment, using your discernment. Thank you. So yeah, I really appreciate this question. I think you're approaching this exactly as you should. So, and then also what you're saying about feeling a block, a lot of the time too, when psychics, professional psychics pick up on blocks, if they're not taught how to be ethical, they'll take the block as a complete no instead of looking at it as a block. So I also really appreciate that you're looking at it as something that you could choose to work through if you decided to, and not something that this is an absolute no. So unless it has to do with someone else, and then obviously you can't control someone else's free will. So, I'm getting a lot of love on that one. Yay. Love that you open to holding other practitioners accountable. Yeah. Cause I mean, who are we not to be? You know, I think, and that doesn't just go for someone like me who is a practitioner, who is holding myself accountable to be ethical and preaching ethics and all of that stuff, but it's up to you as clients as well, or as fellow practitioners, but specifically clients, because if clients come in and they say, oh, hell no, like, who are you to tell me that you know better than I do about myself? Like, if we don't walk into our own practitioners and say, you know, I'm feeling really uncomfortable by this, or I feel like you're trying to take control of my own power, my own energy, or you're trying to energetically hook me or cord me, or you're trying to work out your issues through me, or whatever it is, if we don't go to our practitioners and call them out on that junk, then who else is going to, firstly? And secondly, it's going to force them to take a look at their own ethics and practice. I'm speaking from experience here of someone who used to be incredibly unethical and got her ass called out. And I really had to take a look at myself. So there's that. And then lastly, if more and more clients stop accepting those behaviors, then people won't be able to charge money to do those behaviors. So they're going to have to change up their routine if they're not able to get any business from it. Angie, what time frame before you're able to take counseling clients and bill for it? I love you. Okay, so this is where it gets dicey because of HIPAA and counseling licensure and ethics, counseling ethics, and all of that kind of stuff. Technically, I am not, this is where it gets really sticky. If I have ever worked with you under the lens of Doorway to Self, I cannot see you as a client. Because it would be looked at as a conflict of interest. So for anybody who has been my client prior, I'm so sorry to say that I will not be able to work with you in a counseling capacity. I also am not necessarily looking to open up a private counseling practice right away. I'm actually looking to give back to the community a little bit more, and start working for a community mental health organization of some sort. So that I can't completely answer that question for you just at this point. But in terms of when I'll be licensed, I'll have my limited licensure as of likely, of course, all the paperwork has to go through and all that, but likely sometime between June and August of 2020. So I'm almost there. I'm really excited. I'm on cloud nine. I don't know if that's about the ethics or about my graduation and licensure, but that's awesome. Okay. Oh my gosh, my heart right now. Thank you for asking that question. You're the sweetest. Okay. I want to remind all of you who are new here that if at any point in time you want to ask a question, you're more than welcome to pop it into the comment box on Facebook or Instagram, and I will get to it as soon as I finish answering the question prior. So, in the meantime, let's get to something emailed to me here. Okay. That's a little heavy for me right now. I'll go back to Instagram for a minute. Okay, thoughts on boundaries. Oh, wait, I'm seeing something come in. Are you separating from doorway to self? So again, it just gets really complicated. So doorway to self will still be active. I will still be doing these monthly Q&As, so you can expect that will be a thing. I will still be posting blog posts and on social media and all of that stuff, and I will likely still take on one either journey program person or journey apprenticeship program person at a time on top of what I'm doing for counseling. So it'll be very similar to what I'm doing right now, where I'm doing my internship and then I'm also doing this kind of thing, but I'm only taking on one client. So it'll be for doorway to self. So it'll be probably that exact same setup, just to continue to remain ethical. So obviously that might shift and change. I haven't completely fleshed out all of my plans after I graduate in May, but that's kind of what it's looking like. So thanks for asking and for being concerned about that. I appreciate it. Okay. All right, so this was on Instagram. Thoughts on boundaries between doing spiritual services for friends, family, and partner. Love this. So this is from a fellow practitioner who wanted me to ask this anonymously. And this is such an important question. And it's something that I really struggled with when I first opened Doorway to Self as a business, because as a person who really just gets so much joy out of helping other people to heal, and especially when it's such a calling and it's so much of your life's purpose, it's so easy to get caught up in that and to get caught up in needing to do that for everyone, or feeling like you should do that for everyone, or feeling this burden of like, if I don't help them to heal, then who will? Or being in charge of carrying the world's healing on your shoulders, which is such a huge epidemic within the healing family, right? Is this idea of overwhelm of, oh my gosh, I have to be the person to do this. And the fact is that the more that you think that, the less that you're helping them, for a few reasons. One, you are putting a block in place for them to receive help from anybody else. So that's first. Second, if you're super close to someone emotionally and energetically, it can be a lot harder for you to separate out your own energy from theirs, especially if you have a codependent or enmeshed relationship. And so it can be a lot harder for you to help them heal without trying to heal them, if that makes sense. So it can be easier to take on their burdens and easier to try and do their healing for them, as opposed to guiding them to doing it themselves. You also don't necessarily want to put yourself in a position, if there's a lot of kind of talk therapy-esque type stuff going on with what you do, you don't want to put yourself in a position where there becomes a hierarchy. And this is something that I struggled a lot with when I first started my counseling program, because I was like, but I want to be equal to them. And I want to like be on the same level and blah, blah, blah. And like, who am I to put myself on a pedestal and be better than them? And the fact is like, you're not putting yourself on a pedestal and you're not better than them. It's just this automatic, like, as soon as you are helping them, the playing field does not level out. And so what starts to happen is they become dependent upon you for their healing unless there's some sort of trade going on. So like I've gained quite a few relationships around Michigan where we trade services, and that's perfectly fine. Excuse me, and we're friends, right? So it's like, and I don't do this so much anymore because I've just schedule is maxed out. But when I really feel like, okay, I genuinely need some energy work done, or a massage, or a holistic counseling session, or whatever it is, I really need XYZ. And I know that this person is also going to give, or I can also give this person my services. Or if they contact me and they're like, oh yeah, I really need a session with you, would you be open to, a trade for some energy work or whatever it is, then that feels more kind of okay to do with friends, and not so much family, but definitely friends. Or my partner, because I know that there's an even exchange there. And so that playing field doesn't do this thing where then suddenly they're consistently looking up at you and like looking to you for answers, or looking to you for guidance or whatever. And so what I noticed with a lot of my friendships when I first started running Doorway to Self is that a lot of these things that I thought were friendships, where I was getting a lot of joy out of them at first because I was doing what I loved in helping them and guiding them and basically giving them free sessions, is essentially what I was doing. I just didn't realize that, and I didn't call it that because they weren't sitting in an office with me and they called themselves my friends. And I was new to Grand Rapids and I was pretty desperate for friends. So, it can be really easily masked of this, oh, hey, how you doing? Blah, 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 I love you. And then all of a sudden, like slowly the shift happens, and it's so subtle where you don't necessarily realize it's happening, but slowly but surely the conversation becomes about them 90% of the time and you 5% of the time. And then there's a 5% of the time in between of you going, I'm really frustrated right now because this is a 95 relationship. And so it's just you like not even listening to them and just tuning them out and stewing in your own frustration. So I would just personally avoid doing any sort of metaphysical work with friends unless you specifically have an exchange worked out that feels good to both of you. And I would even put some sort of contract in place there of like, if this starts to not feel good to either of us, then we stop. So that would kind of be my advice with that. In terms of family, that's a little harder. It's a little harder because usually with family, there's a lot of huge karma, a lot of big karmic connections there. And so I would say to just feel it out. Sometimes there might be a need for guidance just out of love, just out of concern, just out of care. Obviously asking their consent first. Or if they ask you for help and you feel into it and you're like, you know what, yeah, this feels like it's right, then I would say just go with your gut on a case-by-case basis there, and just be really, really aware of your energetic interaction with them and whether that is helping them or hindering them. and also being aware of how much they are depending on you or relying on you after you begin working with them. And if they do become dependent, then I would argue that it's time to maybe give them a referral somewhere. So there's that. And then as far as a partner, again, just watching this relationship, does it become this? Does it become this? Does it become like this beautiful, and like, again, speaking from experience, even just looking at my current relationship with my partner, like there have definitely been moments of both. There have been moments where he's been here and I've been here. There have been moments where it's flip-flopped. I'm here and he's here. And there have been moments where it's evened out. And those moments where it has evened out, and I think this is kind of where we are right now, it's really just this gorgeous, expansive process of like just ultimate respect for the fact that you're on your path, they're on their path, and you can hold hands and walk the path and help each other together. And it can just be supremely powerful for you both as individuals and also as a partnership, as a couple. So I hope that that helps this person and many more of you. Ooh, look, we have lots of things that came in. Ah. Don't ask me what that voice was. It was just a happy voice. Okay. You mentioned working in addiction. Anything on the horizon for an energy and addiction workshop or energy and substances info? Would also love a Heal the Healer workshop or article for those of us that work in constant contact with others in distress. So, so a lot of actually what I'm doing with my internship is I am actually running groups for exactly what you're talking about. They just don't really call it energy. It's kind of more subtle than that. But yes, that is essentially what I am doing on a weekly basis, which is part of why I love it so much. The energy of addiction is just so intriguing because you're basically becoming you're basically taking on the energy of whatever substance you're using. So it's essentially like if you are becoming, it's essentially as though you're becoming an energy vampire for specifically that substance. So you are dependent on its energy in order to survive because you don't know how to find your own energy. But then also it works both ways. So then also it's like, the substance has also become an energy vampire and it is sucking your energy away from you. So it's kind of like you flip-flop. So it's like, let's say if you're an alcoholic, like the bottle becomes you and you become the bottle. It's like you just flip-flop. You're giving all of your energy to the substance and you are becoming the energy of the substance. So it's really, really intriguing. And it's so amazing to watch these people rediscover who they are without the energy of the substance in them. It's unreal. It's so cool. And it's just, yeah, they're really, really like some of the most resilient people I've ever worked with. It's really amazing. So, to answer your question in terms of the general public, I, again, due to my schedule, do not foresee any workshops coming up in the future. As I lessen my doorway to self-client load, I've been contemplating, and I really don't want to promise anything right now, but I've been contemplating doing some public workshops starting in probably February or so. Maybe. Please don't hold me accountable to that because I really need to take the time to feel into it as we come closer. So, yeah. And then in terms of Heal the Healer workshop, I truly love that idea. And I'll have to feel into that. And that might be something that I choose to offer later on, as I had just kind of outlined. In terms of an article, That's a really great idea. And actually, I'll be publishing the very last article for the Clare series on mediumship on Friday. So once I'm done with that series, I'll probably be doing a couple of random ones before starting a new series. So I will definitely keep that request in mind. And that's a great topic. Thanks for suggesting that, Angie. Side note, the plant behind you makes you look like a nature goddess. Oh, thank you. Yes. If for those of you who haven't met the ficus sister here, she is exactly 3 years older than I am, and she has lived with me my whole life. So this is my sissy. I love her dearly. Okay, let's see. Can you talk about how and if the elements impact psychic abilities and energy? Yeah. Okay. Good question, Jesse. Thank you. Yes. Yes. 100%. The elements. Oh, okay. There are 3 parts to working with elements. One is obvious to us earthen people, that being the physical aspect. So physical earth, physical water, physical, oh, I don't have my candle lit, but physical fire, the flame, right? Physical air, right? So a lot of people work with like incense or something. So all of those physical aspects, or breath work, all of those physical aspects would be one way to work with them. Another way to work with them, if you're coming from like the energy side, and like majorly otherworldly 5D stuff, would be to work with the elementals, okay, which are essentially spirits that guard the elements. Okay, so you have fire elementals, water elementals, earth elementals, air elementals. And so you can work with those as guardians of the elements. They're completely neutral beings. They aren't for the darkness or for the light. They're just completely neutral. So they're actually some of my absolute favorite beings to work with. The third way, and my personal favorite way to work with the elements, is to work with their energy. Okay, so this is where the physical and the elemental integrate, because you have the vibration, the energy of water, the feeling, not physical, energetic feeling of water, of fire, of earth, of air. And understanding how all of those integrate in our own bodies. Earth, air. That's going to become a meme, I'm afraid. Wow, that was a little bit. Water's in our blood and in our bodies, right? Fire, we're warmth, right? We are warm-blooded people. So finding how the physical elements live in your body and all around you, and then how the energy of those things is in your body and all around you. And this can be, oh my gosh, it's all psychic energy. All psychic energy is based in one of these 4 things. I mean, there's really no way around that. So I would argue it's important. And actually, this is in the curriculum for both the Journey program and the Journey Apprentice program. It is integrated into the program that we learn the elements and we work with each element. And that was a huge part of my own training, and it's basically the entirety of my personal practice is based around those things. So I hope that answers that. Let's see. Hey, Susan, thanks for coming on. I'd love to hear more about last night's full moon. It was a really powerful experience, but what does or did that mean energetically? I realize it also involves the 11/11 portal day. Yeah, so for sure. So basically, and if you haven't gone ahead and read on the Doorway to Self blog, doorwaytoself.com/blog, you will find the November energy article. So if you haven't already gone ahead and read that, I would definitely recommend it. We are in what I call the second staircase currently, second ascension staircase. So the month of November, in short, because you can read about it, but the number 11, the 11th month of the year, is a master number, and it is the master doorway. So essentially it is the peak of receiving connection between yourself, universe, higher self, source, God, whatever you want to call it. Okay. So this is the connector. And so we have 11 the whole month, but if you look at the pattern from the first day of the month to the 10th, and then the 11th day of the month to the 19th, you'll see this pattern of 11/1, 11/2, 11/3, 11/4. So that would be the first staircase, is the first 10 days of the month. And then you have the second 10 days of the month where we have 1/11. So there are 3 ones, okay, making it even more enforced. 1112, 1113, 1114, 1115, and so on and so forth. So each day is about learning some sort of lesson. The moon fell on 11/12 or 12/11, depending on how you read dates or write dates or whatever. So the moon fell on this day of learning how to find balance, learning what extremes are, learning that duality, the middle, etc., because of the number 2, right? 1112 or 1211, however you write it. Oh goodness, so sorry about that. I forgot to turn off my phone. Good gods, did I really just do a British accent? That was horrible. I really judge people for doing that, so judge on me. Okay, so anywho, where was I? Yes, balance. Also, we can see that balance happening between the 11/11 portal day and the full moon in Taurus. So the full moon yesterday fell in the sign of Taurus, which is an earth sign. All of this is in the article as well. But essentially 11/11 is like, boom, like ascension power. Let's connect up. Let's go up, 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 right? Other than that, it's 4 ones, which adds to a 4, which is about finding foundation, building foundation, working with the 4 elements to build that foundation. Look at how this all ties together, you guys. I love the flow of your questions. So we have all of that. And then the Taurus energy is an earth energy, and it's the most sensual of all signs. Okay. So when I say that, I mean, it is like, find your softest, coziest blanket and like rub it on your cheeks all night, and then shove snacks in your mouth and enjoy the texture and the flavor and just everything bursting at the same time. And then like, I don't know, breathe in air and smell all the smells. I don't know. It's just, it's extremely like sensual. And so if you were needing to be extremely tactile, or if you had a lot of sexual energy, or if you were feeling like you could never be full and you just needed to gorge yourself with food, all of those things would be very tied in with Taurus. And all of those acts are very grounding. Right? They're super physical. So they're bringing us here, they're bringing us down. And so we have this juxtaposition, and it's not even a juxtaposition. I think they're working together very nicely. This idea of going super, super up, and then like with the full moon, which is extremely already up, right? We also have this downward motion of grounding everything in, integrating all of these energy downloads we were getting on the 11/11 portal. And then also we have that 2 energy from yesterday, 1112 or 1211, finding that balance between those extremes. So I hope that is helpful for you. Okay. I do see another question here. I'm going to answer that real quick, and then I'm going to hop back to the anonymous questions that were sent in. Awesome. Thank you. I've never heard of the elementals before. What is your favorite element? So that's a really hard question for me. Reason being because I have worked with every single one of them so intimately that I can't pick a favorite. If you would have asked me that question 6 years ago, it would have been water. And I think this is an important thing to touch on. It would have been water because that was who I was at that point in time. I was super flow. I was super emotional. I was super dependent upon only my intuition and nothing else. And my astrological chart is like 90% water. So I was like, oh yeah, like triple Scorpio, I'm the water girl, like water, me. And when I started to go into, I guess this was more than 6 years ago. It was like 7 or 8 years ago. When I started to go into recovery for bipolar, I became brutally aware that being so focused on just water was throwing me way off balance. So what did I do? I went to the opposite element, fire. And I started working with fire super intimately, my baby. And so then it was like, oh, I'm water and fire, I'm water and fire, I'm water and fire. Screw earth and air. But then I realized, you kind of need to ground yourself. And that's a huge play into your recovery. And so then I started working with earth really deeply. And working with earth, what do you need air for? That's what screwed me over in the first place, because I was like way up here out of my head, blah, blah, blah. And then I started having problems with my digestive system and realized a huge part of it was because I was breathing really shallow and I wasn't fully breathing in all the way. And so I needed to start connecting with air and working with air. And this was all pretty surfacey work with these 4 elements that I did. But the more that we became acquainted with each other and the more that they trusted our relationship and I trusted my relationship with them, the more that there was a bond built, the deeper now we're able to go. And so every morning, a lot of you know that I do a movement practice every morning, and I actually start out that practice before I move at all by connecting with all 4 elements plus spirit of the above and spirit of the below, to help continue to foster those relationships. So I hope that is helpful. Okay, I'm seeing another elements question here, so I'm just going to go ahead and answer it because we're on that topic. Hey, Brooke, thanks for coming on. Hi, Natalie. Thank you for being here. And you ask, there is hope for me to balance my elements to be more in alignment with each other instead of straight up wallowing in my water. Yes, there is hope for you. And I would, like I said, I would suggest starting with the opposite elements to you. So usually when I work with people, I have them pull up their astrological chart, which you can do for free by yourself if you go to cafeastrology.com. It's a little bit wonky to try and find the free the free birth chart. Brain went somewhere strange. I'm so red now. I love lives, guys. Okay. So, it's a little wonky to try and find the birth chart generator, but when you do, you'll be able to generate your entire chart. And it'll probably look extremely confusing to you. But you can look up the signs. So if it says Sun, Aquarius, Moon, Libra, Mercury, Leo, I don't know, whatever it is. You go all the way down, you look up the signs, you see what elements they're associated with. And then what I like to do when I'm working with people is see how much of each element is in their chart. So you can count, you can start tallying up, okay, I have Moon, Venus, and Mercury are all in fire signs, and Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn are all in water signs, and my sun and Pluto, and yes, Pluto's a planet, don't make me yank you, the sun and Pluto are both in earth. So, you know, you can kind of look and see, okay, I have 4 in water, 2 in earth, 4 in fire, whatever it is. And then the one that you have the most of, 1 or 2 that you have the most of, start working with those first, because it will bring you back home to yourself. So working with it with the intention of helping to find more of your energy through working with it. And then when you start to feel overloaded on that element, because you will, start immediately working with the element opposite to help balance you out, ground you, center you, give you different perspective, help you breathe, etc. And so you start working with that one, and then the other 2 will kind of lay themselves out after that. So, but I mean, this isn't a fast process, right? It's not like you go up to someone, shake their hand, and you're suddenly friends, right? No, you take time to foster the relationship, to build your trust and allow them to build their trust, and to take the time to get to know each other. That's what this is about. So maybe you work with water for a week because you're well acquainted with water, and then you pick up fire for a month or a year or 6 years, and then you move on to air or earth or whatever it is. So I hope that helps. Hey, Karina. Hey, Holly. Thanks for coming on. Okay. Let's get to this last email question here. And then we have one more on Instagram, but I don't know if we'll have time to get to that, so definitely next month we will. Sometimes I feel like when I am trying to show my wife love, she takes advantage of it and takes my energy. I feel so drained after. I don't think she's doing it on purpose. Can you tell me what might be happening and how to fix it? This question, I'll be honest, is actually kind of paraphrased. I was getting lunch with a friend, and he was telling me this stuff, and I was like, oh, this is a really good question for the live Q&A. And so I'd be happy to answer it on there in addition to like chatting about it now. Basically, this is something that happens in a lot of relationships, and it happens for 2 reasons. One, the person who is giving love is usually somebody who's trying to be a healer of the other person. So that's 1. 2 is that the person who is taking the energy and not taking the love, because it's not just the love, it's taking the energy of the person along with that love, is usually empty of themselves, and so they're looking for themselves in the other person, very codependent. And or they have never been taught how to just trust that the love is there, and so they're looking to truly like feel it, and the only way they can feel it is by feeling the energy of the other person and feeling like they're in control of that. And then also there's this dynamic too of control, so fear of if they're not in control of the energy of the love, then it's too scary because it's too vulnerable. And so there's this need to kind of control. And so this person was absolutely, I've never met his wife, but I'm just kind of what I was feeling into it. It felt very genuinely like this woman was not trying to take his energy, or was even cognizant that that's what was going on. It's how she was taught, that in order to receive love, you have to take it, and you have to be in control of it rather than just receiving it. So I hope that that is helpful for some of you. This happens to be a really, really common dynamic within relationships, especially romantic ones. So I'm just grateful to him for allowing me to share that question, anonymously or not. So, okay, I think I do have time for this last Instagram question. I don't understand how brain neurobio stuff relates to energy. Like, how does it work? Okay, so I'm assuming what this person meant is all of the stuff that I talk about in terms of mental illness and how we're just looking at it wrong, in that mental illness happens because we don't understand who we are as psychic beings, and so it manifests into dysfunction mentally. Obviously, there is neurobiology in mental illness. There have been brain scans, there have been brain imaging, there's been brain imaging done that shows the different flare-ups or in different parts of the brain, or the different disconnects that are there, things like that. So obviously that exists, and I believe that wholeheartedly. However, I believe that that's a symptom, and I believe that what happens is that when we allow other energies into our field, and we allow them to control our being or to deplete us of our own energy, or we allow our own energy to leave ourselves, or whatever it is, but basically we're just not in control of our psychic energy body, and other things are able to get in and control it, that changes the brain wiring and the brain chemistry and what's going on. And so when there is a disconnect, let's take depression, for example. When depression is happening, there is a lack of communication between the synapses. So to me, when I'm seeing that basically disallow you from feeling happiness is essentially what's going on. It's there's a disconnect between the synapses that are allowing serotonin, which is like the happy brain medicine, to flow through your brain, through your being. I believe that when those synapses disconnect, what's happening is that it's because you've lost yourself. And so the brain's disconnect in those synapses, or misfiring of those synapses, happens because it's your brain's way of being a symptom of communicating to you, you've lost yourself. So we're just not going to function in the way that we otherwise would have with you in our being. So when you begin to slowly bring your energy back to yourself, we see this thing happening called neuroplasticity, which happens when the brain begins to change. Different neurons fire, different neurons stop firing, different synapses start being connected. So all of that is definitely a part of this. So we have the ability to change our brains through changing our patterns, through changing our thought patterns, our living patterns, our the way that we interact with ourselves, through changing how we interact with our own energy, how we interact with other people's energies. And when we start to understand, this is me, this is not me, or this is how these voices are affecting me, or this is how, whatever it is, your clairaudience, your clairvoyance, whatever it is, this is how this is affecting me, and how do I bring myself back into me, those synapses that are misfiring will start firing properly. Over time. Okay. It took a long freaking time for me to stop having depressive episodes, like a couple years of doing this work. And I think that's where people get discouraged, is that, they don't see it working like 5-minute instant rice. And so they throw it away, they give up, and they say, oh, nothing works for me. I've tried everything. I've spent so much money. I've spent so much time. I've spent so much energy. Nothing works. Well, guess what? It might be working. You just might be giving up too quickly. Give it time. It's not like the brain is just going to rewire in a day. It takes a couple of years. The other thing to look into also for all y'all empaths out there is this thing called mirror neurons. And I know Instagram's about to kick me off right now. So I have a minute left on Instagram. And if you're watching this and want to hop over to Facebook, you're welcome to do that. I'm probably going to end this in a few minutes anyways, as soon as I'm done answering this. Thank you so much for being here. I love you dearly. So mirror neurons are these actual new things, not new in the brain, but new to scientists, that show that Clare empathy, being an empath, actually exists, and that we have the human capacity to take on other people's emotions or to mirror them to the point where it's as if we're taking on their emotions, depending on if you're an empath or not. Both of those things are a thing. I would definitely, if you're interested in this, recommend a book called The Neurobiology of Psychopathology. And it's by it starts with a C. Anyways, by Instagram. Love you guys. You're heading out. See ya. Here we go. Thanks for sticking with me, Facebookers. So, Instagram only lets you have an hour on live and then it kicks you off. So I was like looking at the little countdown that was happening. Anywho, yes, if that's something that you're interested in, I highly suggest going out and finding that book. It is thick. Don't get discouraged by it. It's actually written in a very layperson language, and it's awesome. So that's that. Okay. I don't have the next Q&A scheduled just yet for December. And I'm actually, just because of the holidays and all that, planning on sending out some sort of poll to see when would be best for you guys to hop on. If you're interested in that. So I will probably be putting that up on the Facebook page and on Instagram pretty shortly, like within the next couple days here, to figure that out. Otherwise, I love you guys so much. I'm so grateful to have you on here. You ask awesome questions, and this event, it's funny because I feel like the last couple of times I've done this, I've been like, I'm so tired, I don't want to do this. And then like 5 minutes beforehand, I'm like, oh my gosh, wait, I'm so excited for this. And then I get really excited, and I always leave just feeling so just energized from this. So thank you guys for all of your enthusiasm and your awesome questions. If you have any questions that you kind of came up for you, but you didn't want to ask them publicly and you want to ask them anonymously, please feel free to send me a private message, or you can email doorwaytoself@gmail.com, and you can do that anytime throughout the month. And I'll just flag your question for the next Q&A, which will be to be determined. So anywho, let's see. Thanks so much for these Q&As. Love, love, love. And you are radiant tonight. Oh, thank you, Jessie. Thank you. Amazed to learn about mirror neurons. I love it when science and energy worlds collide. Me too. I totally agree with that. When I learned about the mirror neurons a couple months ago, I just about peed myself. I was so excited. So yeah. Anyways, love you guys. I hope you have a fantastic night. I kind of don't even want to leave because I'm just like, oh, it's so good. If you missed any part of this video, I'll be putting the replay. The replay is on Instagram already, just not of this last part before it kicked me off. And it will be going on Facebook as soon as this ends. And then there will be another replay as well that I upload to YouTube with timestamps. So if there's anything that you specifically want to go back and look for, like if you're someone who sent an anonymous question, you want to make sure that you didn't miss your answer and you want to specifically hear that, you can check it out on YouTube as soon as I upload it. I'm assuming probably Friday I'll get that done. So I'll have that up there with timestamps, and you can just click your question and go straight to that point in time. So sending you guys love. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and take care. Over and out.